So, good evening. This will be a little bit more formal, and the reason it's got to be a little bit more formal, we got to use the mic. We are taping this so that it will get out to everyone, so individuals who have not come tonight. So we will be behind this mic, or if there are questions on a microphone. So again, so it can be taped and heard and replayed out there in the city. So I'm Kip Warby, Mayor of St. Clair Shores. Thank you for coming to the town hall meeting of the Jefferson Relief Sewer that is going to affect all of St. Clair Shores. We know that even though it's 9 Mile to Rio Vista, it's going to affect all of us here who live in St. Clair Shores. A needed project, and at the end of the day, we're going to improve the water quality, and we're going to improve Lake St. Clair, and I know that is a desire of everybody in our community to make a better lake. It'll come with a little bit of probably issues here and there, but we're here to, we've tried to make it not as bad as it could have been, and they'll kick it off here in a second. So let me just do a couple of introductions, and then we'll go to the presentation. So we have Councilman John Kieran here, who is on the SEMSD board, and that is the pipe that is owned by the SEMSD. We also have Public Works Commissioner Candace Miller here. Both of them will speak a little bit later as we do the presentation. We got Councilwoman Candace Rusi here. We have a number of people from the Macomb County Public Works office. So they've made their trip. So we're gonna make them raise their hand here. We got Brian Baker there, Norb Franz, Vince Estorino. So all of part of Candace's team that have made the whole county better in that area. So. We have Denise Pike here, too, who has been instrumental here in helping the SEMSD. And, of course, we've got our fire chief, Jamie Piper, here, in case there's concerns regarding that and questions. So with that, let me, we have Lou Urban, Kyle Seidel of AEW. They did the design and engineering. And from Rickman, we have Gino DiAugustini. So I think I've covered most of it. I think it's mostly people on one side and the residents on this side, it appears. I don't know how that turned out, but that's where it's at. So again, Lou, why don't you come on up and give an overview. We'll probably kick a few things as it's going. It's going to be more just, this is not some structured area. We want to tell you everything and give you all the information. And we want you to ask us the questions we can, and we'll try to answer them. If we can't, we'll absolutely get back to you. So with that, we'll kick it over to Lou. And Lou, you got to be on the mic again. And Gino, I know he's going to be part of it because we have done this. This is our second time. We have met 3 times with the marina owners and the business owners to try to make sure we worked out some of their issues and concerns, right? It's their livelihood. I know it's important for residents to it was their livelihood. And so we wanted to make sure we met with them and understood their problems. And so we don't really have any business owners here, but I think just to tell you that the reason why is because we have already met with them several times to go over this project ahead of time. And hopefully you've read the newspapers and we've tried to put this out there in the media and in the paper, and C&G reporters back there too, to put it out there so you would know what was coming. Because again, it's going to be 24 months of this project and then maybe 6 more months of paving. So it's a sizable project that we are undertaking. So I won't keep talking.
Very good. Thank you. Louis Urban, Senior Project Manager at AEW. And I'd like to kind of go, this slide here shows, and I got my back, I don't want to turn my back to you, but I do need to see this so I can to speak to it. Obviously, the owner is SEMSD, and with some help with funding from Macomb County Office of Public Works. This project stakeholders are East Point, Roseville, and St. Clair Shores. All of those made up the SEMSD. The design team, or the engineering group, is Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick, Fishback, and NTH. And the contractor, Rickman. To the next slide. This slide here represents, the conveyance issue that we have. So those that are unfamiliar with the sewer system, we have dual large diameter sanitary sewers north of Rio Vista, and again south of 9 Mile. In between, we have one sewer, one 5-foot diameter sewer that runs along the east curb line of Jefferson Avenue. And unfortunately, during large rain events, large sewer events, and if the bond here I'm sorry, the Martin RTB cannot handle the storage of that flow. I'll explain it a little more in detail. Flow comes from the north. It travels south to the larger diameter sewers south of 9 Mile. If that pipe cannot carry that amount of flow, it flows to the Martin RTB, which is right there where it says that red box. The flow is stored there and treated. And if we get a significant event and the conveyance can't be carried through that single sewer, and it can't be held at the Martin RTB anymore, then it discharges out to Lake St. Clair, and it's treated before it's discharged. So I do want to, I guess at this point, that's the project in a nutshell, is to construct a sewer from 9 Mile up to Rio Vista on the west, along the west curb line of Jefferson Avenue.
Can you just hold on one second? Hold that for a second. Let me just, sorry.
Sure.
Let me just, I think I'm one of the older people here, so I'll just tell you a little, what I believe is the history here, why we have only one pipe here. So in and we probably got people here who've been here as long as me, and in 1997, right, the whole Wabi Park was created. They paved the nautical mile right in that 98, 99. So here comes the Lake St. Clair Water Initiative, which is 2001, and the nautical mile has been just paved, right? 2 years earlier, you know, it has been paved, the park's been done, and this becomes a gap. They don't tear it up during the whole Lake St. Clair Water Initiative. I would tell you, because I think they had just paved it a couple of years earlier, and so here we are now, you know, almost 25 years later, we got to kind of fix the problem that was left to us. So that's the best I believe we can answer to that question. So again, sorry to cut you off, but I just thought I'd give the little history why we end up with this one pipe here that should have been two, but I believe that is the answer to, you know, government would be, my gosh, you just paved it and here you go, we're going to rip it up a couple years later, and so they left it. Sorry.
I'm gonna just make a comment.
Yes.
before we start.
Candace Miller.
Okay.
Sorry.
Candace Miller, Macomb County Public Works Commissioner. When you're done seeing this video, there will be no question in anybody's mind about why this project has to happen and why it's important. Because what has been going on here has been going on here. I know you said you were the oldest one. You're not the oldest one. I'm way older than you. Way older than you. I graduated from Lakeshore 72. I know I'm older than you. But this thing has been going on for decades. For decades, we have been discharging sewer overflows out into our magnificent lake here. So listen, you know, there's not any really young people here, but this is why we're doing this. We can't leave this for the next generation. We just can't do it. So when you see this video was taken by Vince Astorino and another one of my fellows in a drone. They used their drone, I think, I don't know, a couple of winters ago when we had ice. Last winter we didn't have ice, maybe the winter before that. So you have ice cover. So it's easy to see this discharge in this particular instance. And of course, there's no turbidity in the water in that. You're going to see what this discharge looks like. It's at the end of Rio Vista. It goes out into the lake a bit, and then it just discharges out there. Every time there's a heavy rain event and we can't handle it, we discharge like this. All summer long, people are swimming, fishing, recreating, boating, whatever. This is what's happening here. So let's just take a look at this video. I call it chocolate pudding. I don't know what else you could actually call it. It's combined sewage with storm water. Most of it is actually storm water, but some of it is sewage. And what happens, we're permitted. We are permitted. Everybody who has a retention basin in the state of Michigan has to get a permit from the state of Michigan, from EGLE. And we are permitted to do this. And so some of them will say, why bother fixing this? You're permitted to do it. Seriously, that is not the correct answer in 2025 for sure, right? And what happens at a retention basin, we have this Martin retention basin, yeah, that's at the end of Rio Vista there. You can see the beautiful homes, right? I mean, and there's the lake. In a retention basin, it's a one-process treatment. Essentially what you're doing, you shock it with the bleach. There's a, what's the name of the chemical? Sodium hypochlorite. We use that. It's like bleach, essentially. It's like chloride. And you just shock it so you knock down the E. coli. That's what you're doing. You're knocking down the E. coli levels. But what we want to be able to do, and what we will be able to do once this project is complete, is keep moving all of this down to the city of Detroit, to the Great Lakes Water Authority, of which St. Clair Shores is a participating member as well. You'll move it down down Jefferson to their wastewater plant, which is a 3-step process. By the time this is done through a 3-step process, that is extremely clean water. It's not this. It's not what you're seeing here. So we have been focused in our department, and I'm going to stop talking in a second here, but we have been very focused on reducing with an eye toward eventually eliminating combined sewer overflows, again, which have been going on for decades. So we have 2 retention basins that the Public Works operates. Again, this is not our project. This project is owned by the SEMSD here. But I'm here because we've helped with the money, with the financing of this project. I went to the County Board of Commissioners when we had some ARPA money in the county, and they were, divvying up the dollars. We spent most of the money on the county jail, but the County Board of Commissioners also gave us, my department, $40 million of ARPA funds, of which 20 of it we are actually giving to the SEMSD. Because who cares? We're all the same taxpayers here, right? We all want the same thing. So they're getting $20 million from us. Kevin Hertel, State Senator Hertel, has been extremely helpful, supportive of these projects. He's got an earmark for $5 million from the state. And then Congressman John James also got a $2 million amount that we're able to use toward this. So people should know that your rates are not going to go up as a result of this project either. But at our Chapaton facility, which is right at 9 Mile and Jefferson, that's really our big RTB also, retention basin. We have done changes in our operational procedures to the extent where we have now reduced the CSOs because of those changes, maybe about 35%. We just finished another project, which we call an in-system storage. I won't go through all of it, but we essentially have just finished this project, which will reduce, we're using existing infrastructure to, store the flow so we don't have to discharge. And that will reduce our CSOs, again, down there by 10 to 15%, depending on the year, right, how much rain you get. And then we also have a very large canal expansion program that will be online this year sometime, summer probably. And that will reduce our CSOs there by another almost 40%. So we're getting to the point where we may not have to discharge in some years ever from there. So it's an amazing transformation in a short period of time. This project will really significantly, not completely eliminate a discharge in a real heavy rain event, but it will be a huge step forward for this. So anyway, we're just here, we want to support it. As I say, these funds, when the federal government did this ARPA funding, they said you should be using these things not to put in your baseline to pay for salaries or something. You should be using them for projects that are generational in nature, that they're transformational. And this is a transformative project. So we're delighted with the engineers that have worked on it. They're great. And Gino is going to get up and talk, I think, at some point. But Rick Mann, he maybe doesn't have to, I don't know. But Rick Mann is a local contractor. They're from Sterling Heights, and this is what they do. This is the kind of thing they'll do. He'll be explaining to you about how they're doing the bore and that this is what they do. So we've got a great project at a great price. We got a local contractor. The money's all staying locally, so we feel real good about those things as well. Thanks.
Could you explain what the ARPA funds are? What does that
It
actually mean?
means American Rescue Plan.
American Recovery Plan.
American Recovery Plan, ARPA funds.
Federal government, right?
Those are federal funds. Yes, that's correct. So everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people got these ARPA funds, the counties, all the individual counties got them. Whether they should have ever done it or not, I'm not even opining on that, but they did it. And Macomb County got about 160 million, almost 170 million, of which my department got 40 million of those. I'm spending 20 million of it on other projects, sewer rehabilitation projects. You might have noticed we had a big sinkhole when I first got this job, so we're trying to fix our sewer over there. But because we're so committed to reducing these CSOs, I've asked Kip because I knew they wanted to do something here, but, you know, you don't want to raise rates, trying to figure out how we got this money. I said, this is a one-time thing. Let's spend it on this. This is a great project, and it's all working out well. Thank you.
Come on, one more, because since we're on this slide, just a little bit of data here. So in 2024, because here's the slide, 2024, 400 million gallons were discharged out of that basin here that went in through Rio Vista. So 400 million gallons, 13 discharges in 2024. That might be a little higher on average, but we're probably in that 9, 10, 11 yearly. Again, 13 in 2024, 400 million gallons came through. Then when that's right, 13 discharges, 400 million total gallons came out. So when Public Works Commissioner says significant, I mean, we're hoping somewhere probably, you know, north of 50%. I mean, that's taking hundreds, at the end of the day, it's taking hundreds of millions of gallons out of the lake and taking it down to the Great Lakes Water Authority. So, sorry, Lou.
Okay. So, as I stated, the project is to construct a 5-foot diameter sewer from 9 Mile up to Rio Vista. If you look at this slide here, you'll see that the yellow circle at the bottom is the proposed 5-foot diameter sewer from 9 Mile to Rio Vista. If you can imagine yourself, this is a section, if you can imagine yourself about 25 feet deep, looking from 9 Mile to the north, this is what you would see. And if you can imagine, you see those two blue vertical lines there around that sewer. If we were going to open cut this project, meaning typical excavation, it would have consumed the majority of the utilities above it and the right-of-way, the roadway. Would have been very intrusive and to the community. So the intent was to design a project to minimize the impact to the community, do a tunneling project where you would have shafts located at strategic locations, tunneling operation that would be obviously 25 feet deep and move north. So that's what you're looking at right here. You know, and to describe some of the utilities that are in the way, you have a 20-inch water main that runs down the middle of Jefferson Avenue. And that feeds all the local side streets and so on, and the marinas, et cetera, which is that blue line that you see there. You also have large diameter storm sewers on each side in various locations, the 10-mile drain, et cetera, that are also would be impacted. All your typical gas, electrical, your overhead wires, too, would be impacted by all of this. Storm sewer, pavement, et cetera. Our goal as the engineering group was to minimize the impact to the community, design something that was cost effective, and pray that we got a good contractor. And all those, that came true. If you want to go to the next slide. So this is, I'll call Gino up here in a minute, but I just want to talk about the actual tunneling and how this is phased. There's a long, you know, plot here which shows the segments. And when we, as the engineering group, we wanted to make sure that we had, like, again, minimize the impact to the community. So we didn't design this such that they would just tunnel from one end to the other, have all this, impact with side street laterals and so on. We broke it up into segments, into phases. And what you'll see in one of the next slides here is this map and how it's done in phases too, so it minimizes the impact. You'll have the first stage is going to be from 9 Mile to Stevens. And once the contractor tunnels from 9 Mile to Stevens, then he goes back and he makes all the potential utility connections. If you could step back to that previous slide with the cross section. when you see the pink sewer line that you see here is the actual Jefferson along the east curb line. And that goes from, obviously, all the way from 9 Mile through to Rio Vista. What you're seeing, though, is the side street laterals, that smaller pink line that comes to it. And you can see that there's the potential conflicts as we go along with those side street laterals. So we wanted to minimize the risk to the community. They're going to put in siphons and relocate, and where we can raise the sewer, we're raising the sewer so the tunnel can go underneath it. So we're doing everything we can to minimize any kind of impact. Once they get from the launching shaft at 9 Mile to the receiving shaft at Stevens, they'll go back and restore all of the utilities that if any siphon or any impact to the utilities. And then once they're complete with that, then they'll move to the next segment. Traffic control will come down in that segment and be shifted up to the next segment, minimizing the impacts. Gino, did you want to talk a little bit about the tunneling operation?
Good evening, everyone. My name's Gino D'Agostini. I'm with Rickman Construction, and we are the contractor for this project. You want to go back to the slide with all the photos on it? So a big question probably is, what are we going to see? What's gonna be the impact? So as Lou's already stated, this is a tunneling project, which means that we are going to use a tunnel machine up there in the left corner. As you can see, that machine, we set it into the ground, it starts turning, we use a series of jacks that keeps pushing it, it keeps turning, it pulls the dirt out, and the pipe follow right behind it. So something to keep in mind is that you're not going to see anybody moving up top. All the movement's going to be underground. So you might drive by a shaft for a couple months and be like, man, those guys have not moved in a little while. That's why. So there's 9 different phases to this project. We've broken it up so that we minimize the impact to the local traffic as much as we can. We have to cross several intersections. We'll be doing that underground. All of these sewer connections are at the intersections. So another thing that you will see, another operation that you will see will be the crews ahead either raising or lowering the sewer at each intersection. And what that's going to entail is about a week of work. You'll see a large excavator, a loader, a crew. They're going to dig down. They're going to find the sewer. They're going to raise it or lower it. Then they're going to backfill it. Then they're going to get out of there so that we can reopen traffic to the intersections. And then the tunnel machine's going to come right on through. There's, like I said before, there's 9 phases, and each phase has a different length of tunnel run. So you're going to see some shafts were there for a little bit longer, and some shafts were there for a little bit of less time. The first run is actually the longest run. The phase 1 run, it goes from 9 Mile to just past Stevens, I believe. That one's about 1,399 feet. That is the longest run. The shortest run is about 350 feet. So generally, we like to get, 40 to 50 feet a day underground. So you can kind of do the math and figure out, okay, where we're going to be at. But that's generally, barring any, unforeseen conditions or weather, whatever it may be, that changes a bit. But that's kind of rule of our thumb there. What are you going to see at the shafts? So if you look at these, this is almost, this photo here to the right, that is pretty much almost identical to the shaft you're going to see over on Jefferson Road. So we're 25 feet deep. We're going to stack boxes. We use the arch so we can tunnel through it. Up top, you're going to see our tunnel main drive. You'll see a large crane. Probably see a small excavator, another loader, forklift, and our generator, which is our power, which powers the entire unit. And then your standard trucks, things like that. So everybody's going to be kind of in that local area. And actually, this project here, we finished back in 2021. That was on 9 Mile in Warren. We actually had to put the same size tunnel down the middle of 9 Mile heading west on Warren. And we had to keep our operations in the middle lanes so that we could have traffic passing on both sides of us. And actually, that job, we had to use a different type of shaft. That was a wood ring shaft. You can actually see just the top of it there in front of the crane. We actually had to drill those in. So this one's a little different. We're using more length than we are width so that we can keep the operation a little tighter. So that's generally,
What does that mean then? Are we gonna lose like one lane?
so south of 10 Mile, you're going to lose 3 lanes, the center turn lane and the 2 southbound lanes. North of 10 Mile, it's going to be southbound traffic only. No, northbound traffic only, I apologize. Northbound traffic only, north of 10 Mile. So when we're doing the stretch from 10 Mile to Rio Vista, we're going to have to, it's going to be one-way traffic.
But that won't be till April of '26.
Yep, thank you.
How
That,
long is that gonna be shut down?
the last part of the project is probably, you're looking at, what, 8 months?
It's, yeah.
Roughly 8 to 9 months?
So at, April 26th to
The end of the construction season.
The end of the construction season, essentially.
27th?
Yes.
That's almost a year.
No, it's going to be a little less than a year.
4, 21, 26, and 3, 1, 24.
Yeah. It'll be a little less than a year.
You're gonna have one-way traffic on 10 Mile going north.
Yeah, and I think if I actually, did you have a chance to look at the?
Yeah, it was on the.
Yeah, so I think north of 10 Mile, we're done 3-1, and we start.
426.
This is 7/13, oh, sorry. Yeah, so we'll be starting in July of 2026 and out of there by March of 2027. Right? Am I getting these right? Because this is phase. There'll be a slight crossover because of the phasing. Yeah. Well, here, this is from here to here. Yeah. So we won't actually shut down north of here till we pull this machine here. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, hold on, just, do we?
Is there a way to keep 2 lanes of traffic there?
At this point, it's not in the works. Like I said, 2 lanes is pretty, so that the third lane, just to make everything fit. And with the alignment of the sewer, that's kind of the way it is right now.
Yeah, it just seems like it's for the people who have businesses north of 10 Mile. It's a big struggle for them.
Yeah, it is
8 months, 9 months.
yeah, it will be an undertaking, yes. Yes, sir.
Basically the same question from 9 Mile to 10 Mile, or to Stevens, that's your first pass, right?
Yes.
How long is that gonna take, and is it 2-way traffic or 1-way traffic?
So we should be out of there by September of this year, and that's 2-way traffic.
2-way traffic.
Yes, yes. And so, one thing to.
Traffic all the way between 9 and 10 miles.
Yeah, one thing to kind of note when you're looking at this plan is that when we're tunneling, we don't go dig the recovery shaft until we get there. So what I mean by that is it's not going to be 2 holes open and for 8 months, 6 months, whatever that particular stretch is. And the reason we do that is because we can kind of keep it a little tighter even more so that it restricts traffic even less. We won't go dig the hole that gets the machine out of the ground until the machine is there.
So it's 2-way traffic and 6 months from start, and start is when? February 17th, is that what I read?
Yeah, we're starting next week, yeah. So come next week, you're going to see, we got traffic control going up. You'll start seeing the cones. We got to do some restriping of the road. There's a little bit of traffic signal work. So all that's going to be starting next week. You'll probably see a small drill out there. We got to start putting in monitoring points so that we can monitor the tunnel as we're tunneling underground. So all that's starting next week. And then immediately after that is when we'll start working in the intersections. And that work has been talked about before, is either raising or lowering the sewer that interferes with the tunnel so that the tunnel machine can go either over it or under it.
So we have responsibility for sewers in our complex on Linwood Point. Is there a conflict? And this is right at the intersection of Stevens.
Sure, it'll help.
Our location is right across from Stevens. The entrance to our condominium complex is right there. Is there and we are responsible for our own sewers there. Is and I'm sure you probably have some dialogue. I'm not a sewer guy, so I don't understand all this stuff, but I'm sure there's some master plan of all the sewers in the county. And so any kind of an interface where you've got this sewer's going north-south, and I'm sure there are sewers from Stevens that are going east-west, and some of them must feed into the sewer our main sewer that runs right underneath our main driveway. So I just was wondering if that is a conflict, has that been taken into consideration?
You're on the east side of Jefferson, correct?
Yes.
Then it wouldn't be a conflict, no.
Okay, good.
We're capturing everything from the west side.
Okay.
So you already have a sewer that runs down the curb line of the east side of Jefferson that your sewer dumps into. So we're adding a sewer to the west side. So we have to capture all the sewers that cross from the west side to the east side to the existing sewer.
So about 6 months then, the rest for?
Yeah, we'll be out there 6-7 months for that first phase.
Paving comes after, I mean,
The paving will be at the end, so once it's completely done, then it will come back and we will repave the road.
so all in, how much time?
30 months, we're estimating 24 months of putting in the pipe, and then another 6 months to pave it.
That's the whole one.
That's the whole length.
I'm only interested in the length from.
I think I understand. What he's at. So from 9th Mile to Stevens, yeah, we're looking at being out of there at the end of September. And then when we go back to make those connections, then we put temporary road back for you.
So it'll
Yeah.
be totally drivable.
So, yeah, it's totally drivable. And then we move all our traffic control to the next phase. So then the phase that was in front of your house will be open again. And just so everybody, we will have a couple of weeks at each location where we're moving from one stage to the next. So you'll see an overlap in traffic control. So you might see an extra long length of traffic control for a couple of weeks. That's just us moving. Once we're out of the previous phase, we'll bring everything with us.
And then the side streets will be a week at a time as you raise and lower the
Yeah, we'll be
sewers.
about a week at a time. 1 week to go lower them, and then 1 week to go back, reconnect them, and get out of your hair.
Chuck?
Hi, good evening, Chuck Hall. Just a quick question. When you started the presentation, I think it's more of an engineering question. I heard that it's all on the west side that the tunneling's going on and the sewer line's going to be replaced on the west side. I think you indicated that it's a 5-foot line that runs all the way down Jefferson on the east side. What is the diameter of the new line that's going in?
It's a 60-inch diameter line.
It'll be
5
a
foot,
60-inch, okay.
5 foot. It's a 5-foot concrete
In
pipe.
comparison, it's pretty much the same thing that we've been used to. We're just doubling. So, okay, just wanted to know that.
You got a 60-inch diameter pipe. You got a 60-inch new diameter pipe going in. What studies have you done to say 60 inches is good and we're good for 25 years with this 60 inches?
He's got more letters after his name, so I'm going to let him kind of answer that one.
This will not eliminate, Candace mentioned it, Vince is Director of Operations and Maintenance there for the system. It will not eliminate the discharges to the lake. It will significantly reduce them.
Yeah, I understand that, but you guys done studies?
Oh, for sure.
This will be good for 20 years?
As far as, if you're asking about the design life of the sewer, yeah, the sewer itself,
Not only the design life, but the diameter and flow.
Yeah, so north of Rio Vista is dual 48-inch sewers. We're going to put in dual 5-foot sewers from Rio Vista down to 9 Mile. And then south of 9 Mile, I think it's 72-inch, dual 72s south of there. It is a very complicated system. There are 2 different flow control managers that are involved with this, one with Macomb County Office of Public Works and Steve Rizicki and Vince Astorino, and then Pete Trombley with SEMSD. And they are the ones that, similar to, the Wizard of Oz behind the curtains, throwing the switches and making sure the gate's open and moving sewage from this location to that to minimize impacts. I can't tell you how many, it will significantly, I'll just say this, it will significantly reduce the amount of combined sewer overflow to Lake St. Clair. I can't tell you how much because, you know, we're ever-changing, you know, climate that we're dealing with.
But what we put in is the 60-inch going into a 72, so that's why it can't be something much larger, right? Because we're driving that from 60 into 72. That's why we believe that's the right size pipe, dumping from 60 into the 72-inch, okay? I think that was your kind of.
My only concern is I don't want, you know, see a 60-inch put in 5 years from now.
We can't because of what's downstream, so that's why we put the right pipe in. Correct.
Describe the location and the size of the initial launch area for the boring?
Yeah, so our launch shafts are approximately 32-foot long and 18-foot wide to the outside.
Approximately where on Jefferson and 9 Mile?
So the first shaft is going to go just north of 9 Mile on the west side, in between the drives at, what's there, the Coney Island?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a Coney Island right there, yeah. Yeah, so we'll be putting the first shaft right there. If you take a look at this map up here, it'll give you an idea of where each one is going to go. So what we've tried to do is locate our shafts where they're going to do the least amount of impact to businesses and traffic. So if we could fit them in between two drives, or if some businesses have more than one drive, we only take up one of them, so that, you know, we want to work as much as we can with the local community. I was back here.
On the map behind you then, isn't it?
It will be. We have the map too. Yep, on the table afterwards. You can look.
Yeah.
Lou, you have more? Is there any more slides? Or we?
Gino described the traffic control very well, but the intent there is to minimize, you know, the impact. I can't, even as a civil engineer, when I'm driving down the highway and I look and it's been cones for miles and nobody's doing anything, you get frustrated, right? So we designed this to not have that frustration. There will be impacts to the community. It will get frustrating at times. There's no question. It's construction. And Gino's got a great schedule laid out here. He's actually, you know, like he stated, improved the locations of some of the shaft locations to even further minimize impacts to the community. So hats off to him for that. And, you know, our intent there is to make this as painless as possible for the community. Get in and get out. And like Gino said, you're not going to see a lot from the surface. Now, what he did not describe with the tunneling operation is there's men working, 8 to 10 men working in this shaft. And if you can imagine a big cutter head, which I don't think we have a picture of, but there's a big cutter head on the front of this that is mining the material out, right? And putting it into carts, and those carts are being dragged back to the shaft location. And if you're going 1,000 feet, you can see that cutter head's moving, and you're moving all that material back to the shaft. It's being lifted out of the shaft, put into trucks, and then trucked off. You mentioned, you know, how much impact to the roadway system. We need the 3 lanes. He's going to have a shaft that's taking up 2 lanes, and the 3rd lane is for him to move his equipment around that shaft to dispose of that excavated material. This is just a slide of it represents all the representatives for each entity that are involved with this and their phone numbers. And then what you're seeing here is a QR code. This QR code will take you to a website that will give you updates throughout the project. We're going to have two project signs with the QR codes on those project signs. So and we're going to have a storefront office. Rickman's going to have a storefront office that the engineers and the contractor work out of right near the Stevens Drain, midway through the project. Anyways, this QR code is going to give you the availability to scan and then, you know, see what updates are provided to the community from the engineering group and contracting group.
And then Councilman Karen, he is actually on the board of the SCMSD. SCMSD is the Southeast Macomb Sanitary District. Of course, I'm the director and it's part of St. Clair Shores, Roseville, and East Point. John is a member of the board.
Yeah. So just kind of wrap up the comments here. Well, first, State Representative Alicia St. Germain, thanks you for coming to the town hall here to learn about the project, so appreciate you coming. On the SCMSD board, I represent St. Clair Shores. I work with Mayor Bob Taylor, represents Roseville, and Mayor Mike Kleinfeld represents East Point. All of us work together because we're connected with working with the county on working with our infrastructure better and making sure that we can prevent these CSOs going forward. And one thing from a board member of our team at SCMSD and in the county, we're all one team working together on this. So greatly appreciate all the support from Candace Miller's office that we get, as well as the state legislative support and the federal support to make this project go ahead. It is going to be a major improvement going forward to have this bottleneck that we've got where, you know, 2 pipes that SCMSD owns, as well as the Martin Relief Drain that the county owns, coming into one, you know, pipe. You got a lot of volume going into smaller volume, just doesn't work. So putting this project in place is going to help resolve that going forward. We know we've been working on this project for a little under 2 years now. Major construction like this is always a disruption. It's a disruption to residents. It's a disruption to businesses. We know that. Going through with the engineering team with Rickman, I think they've been doing a phenomenal job of trying to minimize this impact of this project for this area. So greatly appreciate all the work on the team to do this. It's going to be a major benefit for the lake going forward. So appreciate everyone having patience as we go through it, because it is a long project. It takes a long time to get a tunneling from one end, almost, you know, 1.5 miles down underneath the street. So, but going forward, it's going to be a big benefit to Lake going, you know, to Lake St. Clair and the surrounding communities going forward. So, with that, any other last questions or comments? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Dean Jankowskis, president of Rio Vista Homeowners. My question is, when it comes down to one pipe at the Martin Relief Drain, it just always goes in there. Where's the rest of that water go beforehand? Does it go up to Martin Relief Drain, up at Martin Road?
So you keep in mind, if we're just in regular use, household use and that, the one pipe is sufficient, right? This is when we get major rain events and you get, you know, sewage flowing from multiple areas.
Right.
And that's when any extra is getting stored at the Martin retention. Once that can't retain it anymore, it ends up having to get discharged.
Which is where? Is that the one at Martin Road?
No, it's the Rio Vista, right?
Oh, okay.
And
So
that
it
was
is
the
Rio
video
Vista.
that Candace Miller was
Who's
talking
in
about
charge
earlier.
of naming that?
Yeah, exactly. It was a drain. It was a ditch drain called Martin at one time. Yeah, yeah.
Correct.
Right. So
So it's at Bon Bray.
Bob
yeah,
Bray.
at Bon Bray.
Underneath the baseball
Under
field.
Chippewa.
Correct. Right.
Underneath the baseball field is a big retention basin. It's
Right.
what, 8 million?
Yes.
8.6 million gallons is able to be stored.
Yeah. So
That's
the
what I
main
thought.
intent.
It was the naming of it is what got me confused.
Right,
I'm
right.
sorry.
So kind of keep in mind, the main intent, once this additional pipe is in place, is if we maximize what's at Martin in terms of that retention basin that's underneath the ball fields at Bon Bray, we'll have extra capacity to move the excess down to Chappaton, where they got more storage.
Right.
And that. So one of the things we realized, we're starting to get these pocket storms, right? So maybe Roseville might get 3 inches of rain and everyone else is dry. Well, that all feeds into the system and that causes Martin to overflow, but the other ones still have capacity. And that's another part of all of us working together, because we got 3 retention basins along Lake St. Clair. One is the Milk River that SCMSD operates. We don't own it, we operate it. And we coordinate with the county of who's retaining what, so that we can maximize what we're retaining, so that we are reducing what we're having to discharge.
Right.
And that, so
right,
that's
one more
the,
quick
that's the
question.
flexibility we're gonna add to the system.
What's going to be open north of 10 Mile? Northbound or southbound?
That's northbound.
Just northbound, okay.
Yes.
But it's quite a ways down the road. Yeah, you know that. I just want to keep reiterating so that people don't. Me too.
Thank you. Are there any other projects along the lake, other counties? Are they doing projects similar to this to contribute to the clean water at Lake St. Clair?
Candace, you want to talk about Oakland County?
Sure. Well, hang on. Yeah. So a recent news development from last week, and I'll try to be nice about it, is that there is the Coon Retention Basin that is located over by I-75. Eagle is actually reviewing their permit and is actually going to drive changes there so that they can have improvements. And really, State Representative Lisa St. Germain, she's pulled a group of representatives together that is really pushing this issue. So it's very good to come up and talk about that.
No, take right in there. You're going to be on TV.
I should have done my hair. I'm kidding. Where do I start? Well, this is the good news. We have up to 18 legislators in the state of Michigan covering 4 counties. And so I guess my office, we have been determined to form a team. And we had a meeting just today. Well, first of all, let me back up. We had a meeting with amongst all of us legislators. We played 3 videos. The one that you saw, the poop coming out of the retention basin there, or Rio Vista. Yeah. And then there was another video. I think it was with the Oakland County Public Commissioner. Candace, what was that? Tri-County, yeah, there you go. Yeah. So where Jim Nash was kind of saying, we don't have a problem, you know. And then the third video was of Candace Miller pulling wet wipes out of the trees just past the Coon Basin there. So anyways, that got the attention of my colleagues. And, you know, we all came to the conclusion this isn't right. We need to fix it. We have formed we'll call it a combined sewage overflow work group. Had a good meeting with Eagle just today. Expressed our concerns. And we're going to be a team to finally get this resolved. So it's only been, I've been following this story since I was a kid. This is not anything new to me. I live in Harrison Township, grew up in Roseville, very familiar with St. Clair Shores. So boater, love this lake. If we can invest all this money into windmill farms and solar farms that some communities don't want, we can invest it into, you know, clean water for all of us. Not just here in, you know, Southeast Michigan, but all of Michigan. This should not be happening 2025. So I'm determined. I'm not gonna, I said, well, I think I said, I'm not gonna take my foot off the gas. I am not gonna I'm gonna throttle down on this topic. And I'm excited. We're gonna finally get some leeway. And so, thank you. Hopefully I covered everything.
So, and we want to stay in Jefferson Relief Sewer, so we did.
Yeah.
So
did I say I'm from Macomb County?
Yep, on Jefferson Relief Sewer.
This question is for Candace. You said that we're permitted to discharge that brown stuff out in the lake. I mean, it seems like it's kind of ridiculous that we're allowed to pollute like that. You know, what's the history? Why is that done? Or
be in your basement if we don't.
Yeah, that's really true. I mean, you have, if you're an operator, you have one of 2 choices, right? You're either going to discharge out into the lake or you're going to fill up people's basements. So there's obviously only one choice. You have to discharge it out there. But the state of Michigan, I mean, I will tell you, first of all, I sit on the Great Lakes Commission. This is a binational, federally recognized commission. It's of the 8 Great Lakes states, in the 8 Great Lakes states in the basin, the Great Lakes Basin, and then the 2 Canadian provinces. So there's 5 commissioners in the various states. I'm one of the 5 commissioners in Michigan, have been for quite a long time, 6, 7 years. But we talk about this stuff with all these other states. And I'm going to tell, some of them cannot believe that Michigan, the Great Lakes state, has the highest amount of combined sewer overflows of any of the other states. I mean, they all have some of them, right? You got Chicago, you got Milwaukee, wherever, Erie, Pennsylvania, everybody's got some. But they're all working toward reducing them. Like Minnesota, they hardly have any anymore. And, we are the Great Lakes state, and this is what we do. So I think the reason that Eagle, I know everybody keeps saying Eagle. The governor always tells me it's Eagle, but there's no A. In my mind, it's Eagle. So I know Eagle says, this is permitted because you don't have any high E. coli's because you knock them down. But Oakland County discharges about 5 or 6 times as much as we discharge in Macomb. Of course, they're a larger county, et cetera. They discharge from the George W. Kuhn facility right at the Quinder is the border, the county border. And I love Oakland County. It's a great county, a great people. They're great neighbors, but a lot of times neighbors don't put their sewage on their other neighbors' heads, okay? A good neighbor. So we've been really trying to get Oakland County to do something. And oftentimes they violate their permit. Sometimes they'll put raw sanitary sewage right into the Red Run drain that runs through Sterling Heights, Clinton Township, downtown Mount Clemens, Harrison Township, and then it just finds its way finally over the Niagara Falls, right? I mean, it's just coming along here. Everybody's downstream of somebody. So we just don't think that they should permit us to do what we're doing. But Macomb County has not had clean hands all these years. We've been doing it, we've all said, for decades, right? But if we can do this, I think all of us agree, we have the political will in this county to do these kinds of projects, to spend a lot of money doing these kinds of things. You change the culture. And since we are beginning to demonstrate that we can do it, we're doing it, we're changing the culture. That's why Alicia St. Germain, with her leadership in the House there, is now starting to get traction, right? Because everyone's going, well, they're doing it, we're doing it, how come they're not doing it? It starts to change, and she has mentioned about this permit, and I won't go on too long about this, but this is enormous progress with the permit now that they're considering for George W. Kuhn. Eagle permits everybody, because now they're requiring them to start to, dechlorinate down to 0 and do different kinds of things and start to at least think about doing retention. There's nothing magical to it. You got to separate the sewers or you got to have additional retention, just like that's what we're doing here with this pipe. So we're making progress finally, but they don't like it. Oakland County's having a meltdown that they have to do anything. And last time I looked, they got a little more cash over there than we do in Macomb, but we're doing our part. So I think they could do something.
But we're an older community, right? So it's combined, and then when rainwater comes, it gets infiltrated, and that's why these pipes get full. And if we don't discharge in these different RTBs, then it's going to back up. So that's why it has to be permitted and has to go. Other questions? All right. Yes, sir.
So it was 3 lanes each time you guys take up, right?
Yes, it is 3 lanes. It just, obviously, there's 5 lanes between 9 and 10.
Right.
Yep.
And then 3 lanes.
Yes.
Any emergency vehicle concerns for?
We've had, yep. Go up here, Chief, right? He's been involved in the meetings, yes.
So the short answer is no. I mean, we don't have any concerns being able to get through. AEW's been really great. We've been working ahead of time on all these, talking about reducing the possible impact for us to be able to get into your different neighborhoods, to be able to get by. Clearly, our plan is going to probably try to avoid Jefferson a little bit while we're going, but the areas that we have to, we'll be able to get to with the normal traffic and the times where they've been talking about they're going to be in the intersections. We've already had discussions in these pre-meetings. AEW's been great in every other project we've worked with, being very transparent up front. This is going to be the challenges, and they take a lot of input from us. I've had meetings where I'm like, that's not going to work for us. We need you to do this different, and they've been fantastic. So we have no concerns because they know there's a safety factor for just everybody going by, but they also have a built-in, like, yes, if you have an emergency and you need to go through here, run over our cones, do whatever you need to do. So we have high confidence at the fire department. We're going to be able to get through wherever we need to get to everybody here in town.
Anything else? If not, we'll close it up. We're sticking around to any more questions. You can look at the map or whatever, but we appreciate. Thank you for coming. We thank everyone here and AEW, Gino, and Public Works, Councilwoman Rusi, and Councilman Karen. So with that, good night. Thank you.